The reality now, I think, pretty clearly articulated in this report, although I don't think it was the report's desired effect, is that unless we leave the ECHR and start deporting people, this time in the next couple of years, we're going to be paying £6 billion a year for a permanent backlog of asylum seekers, aren't we?
We are, Patrick. And, you know, you said earlier, and sorry, I think my network's a little bit poor today, but you said earlier that there are good reasons to stay in the ECHR. There are. However, there's got to be a balance, and it's got to be Britain's interests have got to go first. It's about furthering the interests of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and the people who are here. And you're absolutely right. Unless we have to resource the situation correctly, which it's not, we have to ensure that the legal framework is conducive to us carrying out government policy. We elect politicians to implement policy. And if they can't, because the law is wrong or because the European Convention for Human Rights prevents them, and that's what we want our politicians to do, then the law has to be changed. And that may mean leaving the ECHR. I've got no problem with that. It's being abused at the moment. There is something in this country under common law that has always been a principle, and that is apply the spirit of the law. And we now know that there are a raft of NGOs, charities, activists, campaigners and lawyers who are not, and politicians, who refuse to pursue the spirit of the law.
Exactly, and this is the key point, again, on this for me, Henry, which is it's all very well and good people saying, look at this amount of taxpayers' money that is being wasted on the asylum seeker backlog. But a lot of the people that are saying that, their solution is open borders. A lot of them campaign for it. A lot of them are actively, in my book, actively facilitating the trade of human beings across continents to Britain, then helping them get legal access to stay here. They're all in on it because it is part of a wider ideological agenda. And the only way to fight that is to deport people.
Indeed. I totally agree with you, Patrick. Well, we've got to deport people. We've got to ensure that we reduce the number of people who we allow in, and we've got to reduce the flow. There's those sort of three elements, and reducing the flow is about dealing with the push factors, the pull factors, and the movement in between, including transnational organised crime. But there's another element to this, Patrick, and, you know, recently we've seen the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, come out with a sort of, well, his staff apparently, unauthorised, which I don't believe for a moment, came out with a publication that suggested that white people no longer represent London. Now, I'm sorry, but that's what, you know, the entire this, and I'm going to repeat Suella Braverman's phrase, this invasion, and not a military invasion, but an invasion of numbers. We are being overwhelmed, and that is one of the results. It's being normalised that parts of Britain are no longer white British. We are still the majority in this country. So there is that side of it as well. And recently, Patrick, I was in Llanelli, which is where one of the hotels, the Stadley Park Hotel, that's sort of earmarked to have asylum seekers put in there. There's a massive impact on the local community. Likewise, we've got Wigan, the best hotel in Wigan, the Spa Hotel in Wigan is being taken over. These aren't, you know, basic centres for accommodation. These are some of the best hotels available in these areas. It is utter madness. And I am now starting to believe that this is going beyond incompetence. I know, and Patrick, you know my background, you know that I have helped 14 other countries to deal with national and international problems not far short of this. These problems can be solved with courage, with knowledge, and with experience and the correct planning. But you've got to have the courage and determination to do it. But why isn't that being done here? I take it to a point. Lack of knowledge, lack of determination, and all the rest of it. But there comes a point when you've got to say, no, enough is enough. And every day that goes past now, I'm more and more of the opinion that more drastic measures are required on our maritime borders. And I always remind people, it's not just people, it's all the cocaine and all the heroin that's coming across the borders and the cost in terms of public health. They come across our borders as well. And our borders are porous.
This is it. Look, Henry, you've put a lot of things together there, and I appreciate you doing it, actually, because I think you've expertly summarised how a lot of our viewers and listeners will be feeling. Henry Bolton there, as border control expert, thank you very, very much. Yeah, he makes a series of good points, doesn't he?